All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome. It is time for round 7, and we are here at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg in Austria. It is time for the Austrian Grand Prix, like I said, for round 7 of the Midwest Formula 1 Division 2 Championship. And here we are in the lobby, just getting set, just getting ready for a short qualifying session with a couple drivers hitting the track a little bit early, trying to be the first drivers to get their times on the board here in this short qualifying session. Hello and welcome after what's been a little bit of a delay on my end here for the Division 2 Championship. Was up in Division 1, had a break week last week, but I am back and I am ready to jump right back into this here with the Division 2 Championship, because of course things have changed since the last time we were here. I'm sure Hotspot put us through all of that, but of course I'm going to give everybody a little bit of an update here in the championship standings here early on, as Mason in the Haas is coming around the final corner, getting ready to start his flying lap. But when I'm looking at the championship order, we've had a little bit of a change here after his second race win of the season, and the first driver here in the Division 2 Championship to win more than one race this still early season. It is now Murph Inselli, who is normally driving in the I believe it is the Mercedes that he's in, if I'm not mistaken, but he is now leading the Drivers' Championship. But crucially, from unless I'm absolutely blind here on my screen, he is not in the lobby, so that does give the opportunity for a second place driver in the Drivers' Championship, Niru Nix, back in that Williams here to claw right back the gap. Murph and Selly 369 points, Niru Nix 356, so the gap is very close between these two drivers here for the top two positions. Still lots of races to go, but already they're starting to make a little bit of a separation. Tiger NASCAR is in a bit of a distant third in that Red Bull seat here today as he's running a flying lap. Mason unfortunately invalidated as he went around. Tiger NASCAR did as well. Hightower just starting his lap. You've got a lot of drivers here that are just that are getting their first laps in. It looks like everybody is on those soft tires, other than VTEC and Hightower, who are choosing the medium tires, but most drivers going for the softs. And honestly, it's looking a little cloudy out there. We might see some rain here before the end of the session if we're not careful. We'll keep an eye out on that, but the times are starting to fall now. Hey Tide Gaming, Twitch TV, first driver to get that lap time set, 105.2. Saffron City, though, setting a near 105 flat. Niru Nix, P2 in the championship. Like I mentioned, P1 on the board here in qualifying, a 104.677. That is the time to beat, with Fuzail coming in a close second, but not quick enough to snag that coveted provisional pole position. Mitch Burns, meanwhile, in that Red Bull seat, he goes second fastest, brings that gap a little bit closer between himself and Niru Nix, but still Niru is the faster time of the two, but definitely gonna want to watch out for Mitch Burns, I should say, here in the race. Strong driver, and I'm sure he's going to be having a strong performance here around Austria, which of course is a track that, if I'm gonna be quite honest, doesn't look all that threatening, at least initially. You look at the map, it's a short track, it takes about a minute and 5 seconds to get around the track when you're going fast. So really, you'd think there's not really much to it, but of course, like so many tracks, once you start really getting into it, once you start really putting in those laps, that's where you're gonna start to see how much teeth this track has. Of course, as I'm trying to find somebody who's starting a lap, we'll keep an eye out for Houdini, as I think he's just about to go around. Who was that? I think that might have been Adaltonian, who just set a 105.074. Yes, that was Adaltonian. Goes P4 on the grid. I think Houdini now just coming around near the end of Sector 2 in that inside portion of the track, saying goodbye temporarily to the Red Bull statue that they get to drive right alongside, but I'm sure he'll see it again in about a minute's time here. As he comes around the final corner is the Ferrari of Houdini, starting his flying lap, and will take us through the flying lap here. As of course you can ride a lot of curb here for turn 1, set yourself up, you can cut turn 1 quite a bit there if you're willing to ride the curb, but of course you can bounce off that yellow sausage curb there. Turn 2, not much of a corner. We don't really talk about it all that much, but turn 3, this is a very tricky corner. You can see it's a very slow in, fast out, but you're going to want to get on the power as quickly as possible to set yourself up for this, the line into turn 4, but it's very easy to lose the back end. Turn 4, it's a downhill off-camber corner. We all know and love it here. Not a bad line from Houdini, carrying the momentum and going into the inside section of the track. Two left-handers. There is that Red Bull right there for those who are wondering, on the left-hand side of the inside there. Not a bad line through Sector 2 from Houdini. Not going to be, doesn't look like it's going to be competing with Near Nix's time, but it's still looking pretty good here with the soft tires around the final corner. The two right-hand corners as the final two corners of the track downhill can be very tricky. It's a 105.7 for Houdini. So a bit of a slower lap time for the Ferrari driver. Definitely room for improvement here, and we'll see if he can find a little bit more pace between now and the end of the session, I should say, as Melson set a purple Sector 1 here on this lap. He had some invalidated lap times previously. You can see really pushing the curbs here, extending those track limits as much as he can. So it's a little bit of a high-risk, high-reward game, but we'll see if Melson can get the lap down here this time around and put something on the board. Purple in Sector 2, so it's looking to be a flyer here. Just has to survive two more corners. Turn first of the two, almost looked like he slid there for a little bit going around. A slow final corner by all intents and purposes there, but it's not gonna matter because it's a 104.210. I was about to say smashes the time from Near Nix, but crucially Near Nix said a 104.267 while I wasn't looking. So it's still very close, but now it's Melson in the Haas, who is on provisional pole. Near Nix gets dropped down to P2, albeit still on the front row of the grid, just not in that coveted pole position time. But you can see Dace invalidated his lap, diving into the pits. Not going to be trying another one here. Forza Juve, meanwhile, he's on a good lap time. Looks to be en route to continue it on pace. So we'll stick with Forza Juve and see what he can do here as he comes through the bend here. The final few corners, that bend, it is very easy to lose it on the curb from what I've seen. But it looks like as far as the curbs are concerned, they're not much of a talking point in this stage of the game anymore. Drivers are starting to get the hang of them a little bit more than what they were about a month ago once the game first came out. But Forza Juve, it's a 104.452 there for the Mercedes driver, so a very good lap time. Chief Braids retires out of the session. I think that's a crash out of turn 3. Let's stick with Forza Juve now. Let's ride on board as he's gonna come around turn 3. Where is that car? There it is. Just completely losing it. I think that's what I was talking about there. On the exit of turn 3, you want to get on the power as quickly as you can to maximize your speed into the next corner. But of course, it is very easy to lose the back end if you're not careful with that. Getting on the power a little bit too quickly, and I think that's exactly what happened to Chief Braids. Just lost the car, and once that's in the wall, it's a little bit of a 50-50 chance. You want to hope you hit it in just the right spot, that it either just breaks your front wing, or you just bounce off the wall and come right back at it, but unfortunately that was not the case for Chief Braids. Fuzail, meanwhile, setting a 104.069 on two-lap old soft tires, to say the least. And here, with a little over 8 minutes to go in this qualifying session, Fuzail takes provisional pole position now for the AlphaTauri, or not the AlphaTauri, the Alfa Romeo, I should say. So finding his pace here is Fuzail. He is on provisional pole. Tiger NASCAR puts a time on the board. It's a 104.333. So a very good lap time there, puts him up into P4, and there went Unholy Red Eye out of qualifying as well. That looks to be on the run into turn 2. Oh no, I'm really not too sure how that would have happened there. Must have been possibly just a little lapse of judgment, maybe trying to take off or put on some stuff on the MFD, check the tire temperature, manage the fuel, manage the battery, but unfortunately just a little lapse of concentration from Unholy Red Eye, and that's the end of his qualifying here. It least from what I could see and what I noticed there. Detail is just coming around the final corner, looking to start a lap time. He's one of 3 drivers here so far who is yet to get a lap time set here in this short qualifying session. Time is ticking down with 7 minutes to go, albeit the whole process here takes about 3.5-4 minutes, so maybe still another lap or 2 for Detail. But for Detail, Dace, VTech, they're all stuck in this position now where they're going to start running out of tires, so they're going to start running out of fresh tires to use, even more so if they plan on trying to keep a set of tires for the race. It is sometimes not the optimal strategy to run through all your tires in qualifying. You can do a one-stop here, I would think, soft mediums, but of course if they're safety cars, you want to be ready to jump on that with the ideal strategy, the best possible strategy you can find. So we'll see how this is going to play out. It's looking to be a good lap from Dace, and yes it is, as Dace goes P3. It's a 104.242. Detail, meanwhile, I think might have had a little bit of a moment. Looks to be a little bit off the pace, and I think he might be diving into the pits, maybe cut his losses and put a fresh set of boots on, unless he chooses to just go around for one more lap. And actually, I think that's what he's doing there. Is Detail. He puts the banker lap on the board, and from there now is going to be setting a second lap, so we'll keep an eye out on that. We've got the Monkey Mafia on your screen right now, just running an in-lap right now. Currently sitting in P8 is the Alfa Romeo driver, so a 104.8. 5.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session, so there is room for improvement for the Monkey Mafia, as well as many other drivers here on the grid. We'll go back to Detail, actually, as I think he's the only driver really running a flying lap. Haytide Gaming, I think, was on a lap, but had an invalidation, so unfortunately it's not going to count here to the lap time board, and he is going to have to find some more pace in that car. Currently sitting in P16 is Haytide Gaming with a 105.2. He's going to have to bring that into the closer to the 104s if he wants any chance of seeing the top 10 and improving on that position. But here comes a Detail around the final corner. He goes P8, so 8th fastest for the Mercedes driver. It's good lap time there for him. And I just got note here that the tires aren't going to matter. It's going to be a wet race here for Austria. So I think that's why we're seeing so many drivers opting for the soft tires and looking to essentially oh my goodness, words are being very difficult for me here today. Apologies for that. A little bit of rust after the break week. It seems that I'm just gonna have to rust off here. So apologies for that, and thank you for bearing with me, ladies and gentlemen. But it does explain why we're seeing so many drivers not extending these tires, just putting on a fresh set of boots and going for it here. It's going to be a wet race, or a rainy race here. Whether that means intermediate tires or full wet weather tires remains to be seen. But of course that does mean that you can warrant pushing a little bit more in qualifying, so you can take that extra lap here, like we're seeing Detail do, like we saw Forza Juve do as well. It seems like a few drivers have been doing that there, just taking that second lap, getting that pace, getting everything as quick as they possibly can, and getting the lap reps in here in the race lobby. And of course, maybe as far as timing is concerned, we're seeing some pretty decent times here. But of course, it does remain to be seen that drivers maybe like Haytide Gaming that are running a 105.2, maybe not so present here in qualifying. But once they hit the race, and once we do have that wet weather playing into effect, if they're running a wet weather setup, a rain setup, then that could be why they're off the pace here in qualifying. But then they'll just soar up the grid by the time the race starts, but we'll see how that plays out. There went Saffron City, improving a 105 flat nearly for Saffron there, as that puts him up into P13. We've got Hightower on your screen right now in the Aston Martin, coming down turn 4, that downhill right hand corner. that I'm sure Alexander Albon and Lewis Hamilton know very well after last season's race. Hopefully we don't have more of that here today. That is not going to be it. It's never really fun when that happens, but we'll see how this all plays out. But Hightower looking to improve his lap time. That looked to be Nicky 64 having a bit of almost looked like there was some wing damage there from Nicky 64. But I think more to the point was he was just letting those quicker drivers through. That's quite all right. It's 3/10 slower than his best lap time for Hightower, so he's going to have to go again if he wants to. That little tank slapper and the lack of ERS is not going to help here with his case. Meanwhile, Nero Nix, though, I think just starting another flying lap, currently sitting in P4, trying to challenge for that pole position that's currently occupied by Fuzail M1 with a 104.069. But of course, from P2 downwards, it's still anybody's game to play for. Mason, who's currently on a flying lap right now, but invalidated that lap time crucially, is in P2. It's a 104.210. Days TG in third, very close to was close to Nero Nix at some point. It's a 104.242, and Nero Nix with a 104.267. So that's three drivers separated by about half a second. Oh, and there goes Mason out of this qualifying session, as it looks like he's retired. So he's happy with that P2. There goes Nero Nix into the pit stop. So he's not going to improve, and Days TG invalidated that lap time. So unless he's going to go around one more time, I think that's going to be it for Dace's qualifying. And as he's going very slow here, letting that driver through in the AlphaTauri, and is he going to dive into the pits? No, he's going to go for one more. I do like that call. I mean, with P2 and P4 out, that's the end. And Fuzail, meanwhile, has a broken front wing as he's going to dive into the pits. So it looks like it's going to be up to Days, maybe Mitch Burns and Tiger NASCAR in the Red Bulls, as some sleeper picks with both sitting at 104.309. They might be the drivers who are going to be best set to challenge for pole position, because of course we're down to the end of qualifying here. I think not too much time left, and 10 seconds to go, and Tiger NASCAR sitting in the pits, Forza Juve in the pits as well. So it's going to come down to Mitch Burns and Dace TG, I think, to see who can challenge for pole. Mitch Burns, though, doesn't get to the line in time, and that's the end of his qualifying now, as he's going to cross the line. And it's a 104.309 that keeps him in P5, but now it's all going to come down to Dace TG2. Is he going to find that pace? Is he quick enough to snag that pole position? No, he's not, as he very quickly abandons that lap, dives into the pits. So I think unless the likes of Detail and the Monkey Mafia, maybe Haytide Gaming, no, not Haytide Gaming, but unless these final two drivers have anything that they can bring, it's not looking to be the case for Monkey Mafia, and Detail is not looking to be on the pace either. I think that's going to be Fuzail's pole position here in Austria. So a great qualifying session here, and it looks like that is exactly the case. So it's going to be an Alfa Romeo who is going to be starting from P1 on pole. Vitek with a little bit of tears there in the in the Discord, but there you have it. That is the end of qualifying. So after winning the race in Bahrain was Fuzail, a little off the winning column here for the next two races, Zandvoort and Hungary, but came to race here in Austria, finds himself in P1 on that provisional pole, or not on provisional pole, confirmed to be on pole position. But of course, the job is only half done for the Alfa Romeo driver. You are going to have to finish the race, of course, in P1, and that is going to be much easier said than done with the weather playing an effect like our sources tell us here. But there you have it. I'll go one more time through the order. It's Fuzail in the Alfa Romeo. P1, Mason in P2 in the Haas. So a strong showing from Mason here on his Division 2 race. P3, Dace TG2 in the Williams. Niru Nix, Mitch Burns rounding out the top 5. Tiger NASCAR, Forza Juice, Static Hazard, Sefron, and Hightower rounding out the top 10. Detail, The Monkey Mafia, Houdini, Haytide Gaming, Twitch TV, Adaltonian round out the top 15. Second apart separates the top 15 with Nikki64, Unholy Red Eye, Chief Braids, and VTech to round out the order down to P19. And that is going to do it here for qualifying, and we are just about set to jump into the race here. As I just bear with me as I'm just going to take care of something here very quickly. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we have just jumped into the lobby, and look at this. It is absolutely pouring rain out here for the race. It is looking like treacherous conditions here, but the drivers are going to have to face it. That's why they're paying the big. That's why they are paid the big bucks here. But it's going to be a great race, no less here for sure. And I am excited to kick it off here as soon as we get the cue to go from the drivers from the Monkey Mafia. And once we get that cue to go, we'll be able to jump in. We'll get the formation lap done and dusted, and then of course the 36 laps around Austria here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Like I mentioned, it is around 7 out of 16 for the Division 2 championship, and it's going to be a good race. It is going to be very, very exciting here, especially given the rain that we're seeing here. It's going to be very chaotic, I think. Of course, you're going to have to try as best as you can to be safe, and as safe as you possibly can here into turn 1, going into the first lap, because of course the race won't be won in a lap, but it can be lost in a lap if you're not careful. But we should be kicking things off here in just a moment once we get the cue to go. And just awaiting on that cue here, you can see the soaking the rain here, how soaked the screen is. I'm just trying to catch up here. I'm just trying to catch up here with the Discord very quickly, seeing if anybody's yelling at me for something. I know they were looking for the stream link, and I just got that in. I'm also trying to find the actual hyperlink for those in the Discord, so we can actually get that in there as well. But I'm gonna have to be quick because we're counting down, and we're gonna be jumping into the race here in just a few moments as the time hits 1, and we are getting ready for the formation lap here, as we've got drivers on the intermediate tires, so it's not looking to be as wet as I initially took it out to be. I thought we were gonna be in full wet weather racing conditions here, given how soaking wet it all was, but that is not the case. It is intermediate tires as Fuzel leads the drivers around turn 1, getting the heat into those tires, getting the brakes ready, getting it all set up and ready to go here. And as we're going through the formation lap, I finally found what I needed here. Apologies for the delay, ladies and gentlemen, with this. I should be fully at you in just a few moments. There we go. That is set up and ready to go. Now I am good and ready. So let's get this up and running, ready to go. You see, you've got everybody on the intermediate tires Forza Juve gets disqualified out of the formation lap here, was running in P7, is still in the race, of course, but because of that contact, will not be able to take the formation lap like everybody else. So he's going to be sitting on that grid for a long time, waiting for everybody else to show up here. But of course, it's all the questions are all going to remain. How are the drivers going to respond here, and how are the drivers going to react in these wet weather conditions, going into turn 1, going into turn 3, the chaos of lap 1 here at any track. But of course, here in Austria, with 2 very tight turns to kick off the session, and of course the just the tightness of the track, the weather playing a factor here, as mentioned previously, all of these questions and more are going to be answered in just a few moments as the drivers are lining up on the grid here, single file, taking their spots in their grid boxes so we can get ready for the 5 red lights and the start of the Austrian Grand Prix for what is round 7 out of 16 for the Midwest Formula 1 Division 2 Championship. It looks like Vitek is taking his spot there just behind the sign in the pit box, and we are just about set here to go. Here we go, up to 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off very quickly, and we are racing here in Austria, as you can see drivers trying their best to get into position going into turn 1. It's a little 3-way battle, as you can see, lots of drivers going wide. There's a little bit of contact there, as it looks like half the grid here going wide turn 1, playing it safe. That's what you like to see. But up at the top, it's Melson taking the lead of the race, Dace TG in second, Fuzel falling down the order, so it feels like there's a dry setup that looks to be a little bit of a domino effect there. Front wings, there's a Ferrari that got involved that looked to be maybe Houdini, and we've got some yellow flags here as it's a little bit of chaos, a little bit of chaotic here going through turn 3. But Hightower being passed by Saffron City as Saffron has the inside line. There's the Red Bull Tiger NASCAR going very deep there as he is struggling for grip. He is struggling for pace here in these early stages with those tires as he's fallen way down the order. He's down in P16 now. Mitch Burns, though, on a bit of a charge. He's up into P5, getting past Nero Nix, who seems to be struggling as well after having a very good qualifying down in top 3, top 4, but now falling down to P6. Adaltonian really not having a good time here as he got overtaken by Fuzel and Houdini. Nero Nix diving into the pits here very early on as he might need to take a little bit of a wing damage, get that fixed. We've got some yellow flags here as I think that's just the drivers taking their pit stops here. You can see you've got 4 drivers, Nero Nix, Haytide Gaming, Tiger NASCAR, Unholy Red Eye, all having to dive into the pit lane here. But through all of that, you've got Melson leading the charge here in P1, Dace, TG2 in second, and Static Hazard. Who would have predicted this after lap 1? Static Hazard finds himself in P3 in a podium position, albeit being pressured by Forza Juve. And oh no, that's Vitek out of this race, as that is going to bring out a virtual safety car that looks to be right on the exit of turn 3. So I think very slippery up the hill around the corner, and Vitek found that out firsthand here. As there you go. It's very similar to where Chief Braid's car was in qualifying. That was Vitek's car, so I think a similar case of just losing the back end on the acceleration, and that car just getting lost, and into the wall he went. But that is brought out the virtual safety car, which has essentially neutralized the race here to start lap 3. But like I said, it's Melson leading the way. Dace TG is in P2 right now for Dace for the Williams, and Static Hazard, like I said, being followed very close behind by Forza Juve here in the Mercedes. But for now, it's Static Hazard who's holding down the fort for McLaren in P3 in that podium. And it looks like both Static Hazard and Forza Juve got a decent start. We'll keep an eye out on that battle because we've got the Monkey Mafia and DT Detail going side by side into turn 3. Monkey Mafia has the inside line. I think that's all he really needs here. If he can find the power, he's gonna have that move done, and it looks like that is the case. So the Monkey Mafia up to P12, Detail down in 13, but Detail trying to come right back, trying to go on the aggressive, but Monkey Mafia just puts that car in the right spot, defending aggressively as well there, and hanging on to that position now is Monkey Mafia. Nikki 64 meanwhile is chasing down Houdini just a tiny little bit up the road there. There's the Monkey Mafia, and here is Nikki chasing down Houdini, like I said, for one spot ahead. They were close, but it looks like now Houdini finding his pace, finding that charge here in this section of the circuit, where Nikki's kind of lacking just a tiny little bit here. So I think this is going to stay the way it is. Hightower chasing down Saffron City. So lots of battles here in the early stages of this racetrack and of this race. But of course, like some might already be aware, just to fill everybody in, here in these intermediate conditions, whenever there is rain on the track, oh no, that's Static Hazard who's into the wall there. That's heavy front wing damage right as I say that, and he is falling down the order, down in P8 now, but going to lose out a couple more positions, I think, as he is going to have to really nurse this car into the pits. It's very tricky, very treacherous conditions. You can see already holding up a few people there as now Adaltonian gets ahead. But for Static Hazard, it's going to be a case of trying to minimize the damage, stop the bleeding here, as oh no, that's Haytide Gaming, I think, who went for a spin into turn 3, and his race is going from bad to worse for Haytide Gaming. Now, once again, still bringing out that yellow flag, is very much so struggling, is Haytide here. I thought Haytide had that wet setup on, but no, it seems like it's just not his track here for Haytide. Fuzail, meanwhile, chasing down Hightower, and this goes back to the point I was going to be mentioning here before I got a little distracted, but normally that rear wing DRS gets activated, and that rear wing does open to give a little bit of extra top speed here. But once it's raining here on the track like this, it's not the case. That flap is not going to be open, so it's going to rely on pure skill and pure pace of the drivers, as well as maybe hoping that a driver makes a mistake, and hoping that you're not the driver that makes a mistake. And I think that might have been Chief Braids. Yep, so Chief Braids had a bit of a moment there. He gets back on track, but now Niru Nix is going to be right up close to Chief Braids, and we might see a battle there between those two cars going into these stages. They both have their work cut out for them, trying to catch up as quickly as they can to this train of cars that's being led by Saffron City for what is essentially P5. You can see on your screen here, and on the minimap, the top 4 have kind of just run off and done their own thing. But of course, here from P5 downwards, it's still anybody's game to play for. Fuzail trying to get ahead. Now, Fuzail, he's got such a great exit on the exit of the final corner. Like, he's really flying down the start-finish straight, but just doesn't have enough speed, doesn't have enough room there to get the move done into turn 1. But now that looked to be Forza Juve that had a big moment there, as he's just now getting back on track. It's going to bring out a second virtual safety car here, essentially neutralizing the race. We'll see how long it's going to last. It's to pick up debris. But now Forza Juve essentially finds himself caught up in this midfield battle, and that's probably the last thing he wanted. Thankfully, though, for him, the virtual safety car is out, which is going to help possibly minimize the damage. But of course, the virtual safety car could be ending at any time, so we never really know. Meanwhile, though, for the likes of Saffron, Hightower, Fuzail, that just means they're fighting for an extra free position here, as now that P5 is turning into a P4. but still a virtual safety car is out, and Forza Juve is definitely happy about that, I would think, as he can now essentially dive into the pits, and the damage has been essentially minimized here, as anything more is just a bonus, as the virtual safety car is taking its sweet time here, trying to get out of the track. But nonetheless, we are going to continue onwards here. Lap 7 out of 36, and now we are back to green flag racing. And it looks like this charge going into turn 2, turn 3, is Hightower going to get close enough? No, he will not get close enough, but it looked like that might have been Nicky who was going for an overtake, possibly on Houdini. That McLaren came close, but not close enough, as they take turn 3. Will still remain in P8 and P9 respectively. So it looks like the pace here, and very crucially, I think the lack of DRS is really making things a little bit more difficult for drivers to get the overtakes done, especially since in a track like this, and generally in the intermediate wet weather conditions, your battery can recharge relatively quickly. So you'll see a lot of drivers with a lot of battery or a lot of ERS, I should say, available to use that energy recovery system that's built into the cars, which essentially levels out the playing field, because normally you'll give it for a little bit of a boost down the straight for an overtake, but then the defending driver can just use the same amount and neutralize the playing field there. And I think that's sort of what we're seeing from a lot of drivers here, just really using up some of that battery in the key spots and then conserving for the rest of the lap, essentially bringing them right back to where they were just one lap later here. But like I said, like we have been mentioning, it's still very early stages. It's only lap 8 out of 36, as you saw Fuzel, who's so close to Hightower. He's really trying, is the Alfa Romeo, and we know he's got the pace, but just can't seem to find that extra oomph in his step to get the overtake done. He's got to be perfect. Oh, but hang on. There went Houdini and Nicky side by side. We caught that from the previous angle, but it looks like right as I switch over, there might have been a little bit of contact there, as now you're seeing the Monkey Mafia trying to get ahead of Houdini. Houdini, though, keeping his nose in there. I think Nicky might have gotten the worst of it, but it looks like Houdini kind of did get involved. But look at this side-by-side battle between the two drivers, and it looks like Nicky wants to get involved with this as well, as now Houdini gets ahead. The Monkey Mafia, though, is not out of the woods yet, as now he's going to have to fend off Nicky, who's only 0.2 of a second behind, and now it looks like that is the case, as Nicky and Detail are having a little bit of a drag race into turn 1. For that P10, Nicky gets the outside line, Detail on the inside, and that is going to continue, but it looks like Nicky just got the position as he is up now into P10, but Detail with that inside line coming right back. Is he... Oh, I thought he was going to go for it, but not the case. But, oh no, there goes Hightower. Hightower's off of the circuit. I think it brought out a yellow flag. He fell down the order now, closer to Houdini he is, but that essentially gave Fuzel a free spot up to P5, and a tiny little bit of clear air to try to close down the gap to Saffron for that P4, for that best of the rest. Meanwhile, Hightower, after that mistake, he finds himself down to P7. He's gonna have his work cut out for him now. Crucially, he does have his teammate ahead of him as the first overtaking opportunity, so we might see if we'll get any team orders. But Houdini is on a charge now. He's starting to feel comfortable on those intermediate tires, I think. So expect this Ferrari to go for a move here. And look at this, finding the exit, finding the pace. Makes quick work of Hightower, who really seems to have maybe missed a step here. I'm not seeing any wing damage on that car per se, so I don't think that's the case here, but just not really much pace. Might have just been a bad line down the exit of the final corner from Hightower, but alas, it is Houdini now, up a little bit higher, and crucially, Houdini goes oh no, and there goes Nicky, almost into the wall, losing the back end. So much is happening here. That was Houdini, went very deep into the corner, opening the gap back to Hightower. Nicky, meanwhile, trying to quit quickly on the power to capitalize on the opportunity, gave his car a little bit of a tank slapper here in the intermediates. You can't get too aggressive here in these type of conditions, and that made him lose a lot of time, and he finds himself in P4. Near Nix, though, he he's remember, he was way up the order there, but essentially fell down the grid, getting caught up in a bit of an incident on lap 1. But trying to essentially recovery drive here up to P11. He's in a bit of a no man's land now. Has some clear air to work with, but is essentially doing his own thing as Nero Nix on the charge here, and looking to maybe gain a few more positions once we start seeing possibly some of these other drivers maybe take a pit stop here to get off of those intermediate tires. We'll see how it all plays out. It still does look like it's raining, as that was Detail trying to use Haytide Gaming's slipstream to his advantage, as he's trying to close up and stick with this group of 4 cars now that are being led by Houdini. A yellow flag here in the process. I'm not too sure who that was. That looked to be maybe Haytide Gaming, I think, that brought out that yellow flag, but we'll be continuing onwards here. No safety car, no virtual safety car coming out for that, as it was just a spin. We get back on track, continue on our way, but for Haytide Gaming, not the race he was hoping for, and at this point it looks like he took a little bit of a gamble here. He put on a set of slick tires, but unfortunately it looks like it's just a little bit too soon for the slick tires, and I think he feels the same as well. Really taking those blue flags to heart now, and you saw that not having the best of times. So it is still intermediate tire conditions. That is essentially confirmed. That is guaranteed at this point here, but it looks like for now though, Melson is the driver who is really handling those intermediate tires better than anybody else. Melson, running in P1, has a 7.7 second gap to Dace TG2, who he himself has a 7.7 second gap to Mitch Burns. So of course the top 3, top 4 essentially running in no man's land, just sort of running their own race here. So they don't really have much to worry about. But of course, like I've mentioned oh so often here, it's the midfield pack that really matters the most. Nicky having a bit of a moment there, it looks like, on the exit of turn 3. And that's Forza Juve getting ahead. What happened to Mason? Oh no! Mason, actually, I just noticed that position change. I thought that was a Chief Braids, because it was both of the Haas drivers that were very close on track. So I didn't think much of it, but no, Mason, right as I was saying, he was driving a stellar race. He goes and makes a very costly mistake here, and actually loses the lead of the race, loses that 7-second gap, and now finds himself 1.6 seconds behind Dace TG2, who he is now going to have to charge after and try to retake that position, reclaim that P1. All the while, though, Haytide Gaming, Twitch TV, he's had enough not having the race he was hoping for here. He's retired out of the session, and that car is going to pull over as soon as it possibly can here. Ideally, it would be pulling over into the pits, but that is too logical for it's a little too logical here for this game, I think. So it's going to pull over when it can. Hopefully it doesn't affect too many drivers in the process, but it looks like it's quite alright just doing its own thing. But now Mason he's going to have to get on the charge here. Maybe he's conserving a little bit. Maybe Dace is just finding that pace. The gap is flirting right around 2 seconds. So it's staying very similar here, going from about 1.5 to 2 seconds. But I think Mason is going to have to push here just a little bit and try to snag that lead right back. Especially given he does have a time second penalty as well to add to his time here at the end of the session. I think it might just be 1 3-second. Let's actually go confirm that. Yes, so it is 1 3-second that he gets to share with Houdini and Unholy Red Eye. They are the penalty crew so far. They are the 3 drivers who have taken time penalties so far in this race. So they will have that added on to their time, but that is going to be, of course, at the end of the race, which is still in quite some time from now. It's only lap 14 out of 36, but of course the wet weather conditions here, the intermediate tires that the drivers are having to put on has created a little bit of separation here in the gap, You can see a lot of drivers just following each other in a train, but it looks like for now everybody's just sticking to their strategies, just not going for those gutsy moves. But of course, you're gonna have to get a little bit daring here. You might want to be pushing, maybe where you've got the ability to take a corner well. Maybe try to push that corner a little bit. See if you can maybe gain some time, gain an advantage. And if you've got that solid exit, and after that corner you can push, you can maybe go for an overtake, and then the playing field just gets leveled from there, because you've got that advantage in that corner, and if you have generally the advantage, you can get ahead. But let's see, Houdini trying that strategy, but just can't gain enough time down the straight here. It's so difficult when you don't have DRS to help you, that extra 10 miles an hour down the straight. But unfortunately for Houdini, he's going to remain in P7. Adaltonian is still in 6, but Adaltonian going very deep there into turn 3. Ooh, a little bit of a tank slapper though from Houdini as a response, and that is going to balance things out. But riding on board, it looks like the rain has essentially stopped here. The rain is not falling, so maybe we see a pit stop into the drives, as now the Monkey Mafia chasing after Detail. It's going to be close as they went into turn 4, but the Monkey Mafia had the outside line, which of course the door, you think the door is open there on the outside until you end up taking the racing line as the other driver don't realize somebody's there, and that door on the outside just closes. You do need to absolutely be alongside the car for going into that zone for that door to stay open essentially. But for the Monkey Mafia, it is unfortunately going to be P10 for him still. Detail in P9, but you saw Houdini once again going after Adaltonian, just can't get the move done. Now he's going to try to force it in, goes down the inside, and now it's a drag race into turn 2 and turn 3. But it looks like Houdini's going to have the better line. Ooh, there's a little bit of contact between the two drivers. Ooh, that is, thank gosh, that did not end poorly, because that would not have ended well for both drivers. Very high speed section of the track, very easy to make a mistake there, and very easy to have light touches lead to crazier moments. But Houdini gets the overtake done. He is in P6 now, chasing down Fuzail, a 4.7 second gap here, with now Adaltonian down in P7. Does have his teammate for company behind him, but we'll see if maybe team orders are going to get called here. See if the Aston Martins are going to change seats, or are going to exchange cars, swap positions. But Hightower has his own worries right now, as here comes Detail in the Mercedes, as he's going to go down the inside, having to brake very early for that corner. Oh, that's a funky line into the pits, but Adaltonian is diving into the pits. We'll release Hightower into that clean air and allow that one-on-one battle with Detail, as the Monkey Mafia, he wants to be involved in that battle, but he's going to have to maybe nail a few corners in a row, really close that gap to about 2/3 of a second. The likes of which we're seeing here from Fuzail on Saffron City, as these two are going to start getting at it sooner rather than later. Mason, meanwhile, has closed the gap up on Days TG2, so this is going to be a battle, I think, that is going to come in maybe a lap or two's time. But Mason is on a charge now after that mistake. Remember, he had a 7-second lead, but made a mistake there a couple laps ago, fell down to P2, and oh no, that's Static Hazard out of this race. It's bringing out some yellow flags. Are we going to see any more than just the yellows here today for that accident? Oh, and there went Days. Crucially, a mistake from Nelson meant that Days could take the lead of the race, but now here we are. A mistake from Days on the exit of turn 1 gives Melson the lead right back here just a couple laps later. Now the roles are reversed, with now Days with a 2-second gap he's going to have to close, and I think Days might start pushing a little bit, maybe hoping that this possible dry tire running can come sooner rather than later here, so that he doesn't have to deal with these intermediate tires for longer than he has to. It's lap 18 out of 36, so we are now officially at the midway point of this Grand Prix. So 18 laps down, 18 laps to go here for the drivers. on what's been a relatively eventful race here, all considered, and things are really going to heat up now, especially once we start seeing more drivers pit for those slick tires. Once DRS does become enabled, and once it becomes faster to be on the slicks. But it's still taking a sweet time here. The rain has stopped for quite a bit, but there's still a lot of spray. The track is still very wet here. Here on lap 18, starting lap 19. But you can see with the onboard of Fusail, the spray that is still coming off of these cars. So definitely still intermediate tires here, but it almost looks too like the rain is it's more prevalent on the down the start finish straight along the pit wall in that section of the track, because then of course once you head up towards turn 3 going up the hill, look at that, the spray just goes, and Saffron City having a big moment, and he is out of this race too. Right as I say that there, drivers, you gotta use caution in this section here for turn 3, because the rain is not falling. This is where the track is at its driest, and that right there is, I think, why we're gonna have a safety car coming out to clear up that debris. And now the question will be asked. It's lap 19. It's soaked here in one of the areas of the track as you head down the hill towards the start-finish straight. But of course, going up the hill, it's nice and dry. So it looks like already my question I was going to ask has been answered. As Chief Braids, you should have stayed out for one more lap, but he could have unlapped himself there for Chief Braids, but that is essentially how that's going to play out now. Will be remaining in the lap cars for Chief Braids, and yeah, there you go. Dace putting on the medium tires, and having to wait there for release. There goes Mitch Burns now on the medium tires as well, and I think that's what everybody's gonna do here. Everyone diving into the pits and putting on a set of slick tires. Let's switch over and see. Melson, he's got a set of intermediate tires on. That's an interesting call. So he's really the only one out of everybody else who was not running that slick tire strategy. Now for Melson, I do have to say it's probably great now, but once the safety car comes in a lap or two's time, will that track be in good enough condition still for those intermediate tires, or is he essentially going to have to take another pit stop here and put on a set of slick tires? I mean, it could also have been just a miscommunication on the pit wall as well. Maybe he wanted the slicks and they put on the inters because that's what they felt like doing. I don't know, honestly. I don't have access to that pit wall, but it could be a possibility. But it's going to be very crucial here as we're coming through near the end of lap 20 under safety car. Melson is leading the way for now, but we'll see if he's going to choose to dive into the pits. He's keeping us guessing here as he takes the racing line, and he is going to dive into the pits actually. So he's going to get those tires changed. I think it was a mistake on the pit wall or a strategy call gone wrong here. But for Mason, he's going to have to put on a set of slick tires now, and he's going to have his work cut out for him here. Depending on where he comes out, he might end up stuck in this pack that's being led by Fusail, who is close. There goes Fusail. I think he might just be free. I think he might just be overtaken by Fusail, but thankfully you can see on the mini-map there at the bottom right of your screen, that is a lot of cars to end up behind and to have to overtake if that was the case, if the stop was slow, if there were mistakes. But flawless stop for Melson as he comes out in P5. But under safety car here for lap 21. I will be back in a moment. Just going to take a quick sip of water, and we will take us through hopefully the safety car restart here and any other things that might be brewing and that might happen while I'm away. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and I will be back in just a few moments. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. We are here. It is lap 22 out of 36. We are under safety car. The track is still looking a little bit wet. It's still cloudy, no sunshine from what we've seen here, but that is not stopping the drivers to get onto those slick tires. And very crucially, though, it does look like the track is drawing out more and more as the laps go around. But it seems like up here in this section, into Sector 2 at the, I'll call it the top half of the circuit, it's looking dry. It's looking like it's time for slick tires, but a little bit similar to what we see in and around Interlagos. It seems like when we head down the hill, that's where the rain is staying. That's where the track is staying a little bit more wet. So it's a completely different track here from turns 3 through into essentially where we are now and the rest of the track when you go up the hill versus when you're down the hill. But we'll see how the drivers handle this as the safety car is coming in here at the end of this lap. So we will be going back to green flag racing very shortly here as Dace TG2 is leading the charge. Mitch Burns finds himself in second. Melson gonna have to climb his way up the grid here, gain a few positions, but here we go. We are now restarting this race, and it's a good start from Dace as he's essentially on his own into turn 1. Melson getting ahead of Fuzel for now, but Fuzel is drag racing with those soft tires. It looks to be a big accident there. Oh no, that looks like that took up both Mercedes. We'll have to see that unholy red eye and Forza Juve both getting caught up. There's a little bit of a contact there. Front wing hitting rear diffuser between Fuzel, Melson, Hightower. Big movement here in the mid-pack as Nero Nix is making moves. The Monkey Mafia, Nicky64 and Detail all getting involved. There goes Nicky64 down the inside of Detail in the Mercedes. So actually it looked like it was a Mercedes and an Alpine, if I stand mistaken there, that got caught up earlier. Those bottom two cars, Forza Juve and Unholy Red Eye. Unfortunate for those two drivers just getting caught up in an incident right off the safety car restart. But here we've got the Monkey Mafia now chasing down Nero Nix. Nero Nix is always going to be a tough customer to try to overtake, but we'll see how the Monkey Mafia can handle this here. As now with the slick tires coming out, we're going to start seeing more time penalties, I think, starting to fall here. And already that is the case. We've gone from 3 to about 8 now in this race. And of course with the slick tires, drivers have probably done more practice. They're probably a little bit more used to it. Here comes Melson though on your screen, trying to go the long way around on Fuzel, who is defending for his life with those soft tires. A little bit of contact there on the exit of turn 3, but it is going to be Mason, who has the West P4, and now you can see he sees Houdini, he sees Mitch Burns in his distance. He is on a charge. Those medium tires are feeling nice and at home for Mason here in P4. But Dace TG, meanwhile, is kind of running away. He's got a 3-second gap, feeling comfortable here on those in those medium tires. That yellow flag is not going to help, and oh no, that's Nero Nix. That's Nero Nix who had a big moment, and he's going to fall down. And I think with 12 laps to go here, 12 very short laps, that might be his chance at a podium out the window, even more so than it was previously. He's climbing back. He had a chance, but I think now that's going to be the end of it here, barring a miracle. You can see, though, Tiger NASCAR trying to get ahead of Detail, and it looks like there's really a lot of battling here on screen. Mitch Burns, meanwhile, got overtaken by Houdini. Now Melson gets ahead of Mitch Burns, who finds himself just like that down to P4. Nicky and the Monkey Mafia are going side by side as they went through turn 3, but here comes Melson. He's gonna go the long way around, maybe try a switchback move. Oh, it came close, but not close enough. Let's switch over to this battle. They're 2x2 now, going down the hill at turn 4. The Monkey Mafia, Nicky64, Tiger NASCAR, and Detail. Looks like they're still side by side here. Wow, what a sight to see! Is I just want to. Oh, okay. So now they do get themselves sorted out, but that was very close. Ooh, there went Detail, finding a line and a half through that section of track, leaving Tiger NASCAR in the dust. That was crazy to see. And oh no, who is that? That's some Fusil diving into the pits. He's going to have to very quickly get off those soft tires. There goes Nicky now with DRS. Detail also using the double slipstream. Is he going to go for both? No, and can't even get one as the Monkey Mafia finds the better line through turn 1. And look at that exit. Look at the difference in pace. There comes Tiger NASCAR now. So Detail trying to get a little over-ambitious there for turn 1. And now it looks like that might almost have cost him. But now Tiger NASCAR going for a move. He's going to have to try to defend Adaltonian. Everybody just bunched up together here. It's a drag race as they're going to have to take this into turn 4, it looks like. Tiger NASCAR gets the inside line, and that's all he really needs, with Adaltonian keeping a nose in there. But unfortunately, that's all he could really keep in there, just the nose. Everything else was stuck behind, so had to give away that position as the opportunity closed on that move. And with 10 laps to go now in this Grand Prix, the lap times, the laps are ticking down. The drivers, though, their sense of urgency, their pace, everything is being upped right now, especially with the slick tires and the track being essentially dry now. Maybe not at peak performance type dry, but definitely dry enough for the slicks, for that extra grip. We're going to see these last 10 laps really start to fly by here, as now Houdini is in second, and Melson, I think they might have been caught up into a little bit of a kerfuffle there coming through turn 3. As now Mitch Burns, is right behind Melson, and we'll see if Mitch Burns can maybe get the overtake done. No, it doesn't look like it's the case. Mitch Burns does hang on here for what is one more lap for the and maybe then some, as now they're both trying to chase down Dace, but crucially getting that little kerfuffle there between Houdini, Melson, and getting Mitch Burns involved. That allowed Dace to just grow a bit more of a gap here, and now the Williams driver finds himself in a 6 second gap here in the lead of the race, with Houdini trying to chase him down, but P2, P3 just having a bunch of battles here. There's Nicky though in P5, Nicky 64, making some moves now, overtaking Hightower. The Monkey Mafia trying to follow suit. The Hightower though, he's got some extra pace there, is now with DRS. He's gonna go the long way around of turn 3 to try to defend. They're 3 wide nearly just about, but Hightower loses out on that. That was not a good call in hindsight there, as now the Hightower got overtaken by 2 drivers, and it looks like Detail now is going to try to go down the inside. It's close, but the outside line did prevail in that case, just having that traction, having that extra speed, and that's all he needed here. I think that yellow flag is for Forza Juve, who was struggling just a little bit here, but there is, here on your screen, Hightower chasing down the Monkey Mafia, but the Monkey Mafia is chasing down Nicky as well. This whole train of cars is just following suit, really tagging along one to another, and this is still anybody's to play for here, with both the on-track battles as well as the penalties at the end of the session. But we'll see how it all plays out here. Lap 29 out of 36. I said the laps are going to start to fly, and this is exactly what we're seeing. But I'm sure for Dace, who's in the lead of this race, the laps are not counting down fast enough. He wants to see that P1 by the time he crosses the line, to see the lap counter tick to lap 37. But he still has a few laps to go, 7 laps to go before that. On your screen, though, now, here comes Tiger NASCAR, who is chasing down Detail. Meanwhile, Mason, oh no, and that's Houdini with a big costly mistake. He was running in a possible podium there, fluttering between P2 and P3. But unfortunately, that costly mistake finds himself in the sand and out of contention here, as now that was Forza Juve, who not having the race he was hoping for here. That's a retirement here in the pit lane. Nothing wrong with that, but that is the end of Forza Juve's race, as he finds himself what is going to be a net P15 once Chief Braids does overtake him, and there you go. There you have it right there. Now, Mason is chasing down Dace as quick as he can, but Dace has a 6-second lead, so Mason's going to have to knock off a second here per lap to get this overtake done. I think that's a tall order to ask for here, but we'll keep an eye out on that. Here comes Detail now. Tiger NASCAR is putting pressure. Is he going to go down the inside? Go late on the braking. Go. Oh, he's going to, maybe down the inside. No, I thought he was going to go for it there, but unfortunately it was not meant to be here on lap 30 out of 36. So Tiger NASCAR still in P8. Detail still keeping that P7. But things are really starting to heat up here with this midfield battle. This group is essentially driven together for the entirety of the race. Nothing is really keeping them apart here, and they're just wanting to battle with each other here. And this is honestly what you love to see: close racing here with the drivers, and everybody just dueling it out here, just going at each other with that hard, clean, fair racing that you love to see. Here comes Tiger NASCAR though. Detail really not having that corner exit he needed, and Tiger NASCAR just finding so much extra pace well before the uphill right-hander of turn 3 is Tiger NASCAR in P7. Meanwhile though, was that Nicky? No, I think that might have been the Monkey Mafia and Mitch Burns having a little bit of a battle here. So the Monkey Mafia, he's chasing down that podium. I gotta hand it to him. He's in P5, putting a lot of pressure here on Mitch Burns, and I think now with 5 laps to go, let's take a look at the penalty situation here. He's got 3 seconds. Mitch Burns has none, but both Nicky and Mason have 6 seconds of penalties here. So for Mason, it might not matter as much, but for Nicky with 3 seconds, you know that the Monkey Mafia, he's going to want to really push here. He's gonna need to get ahead of Mitch Burns and build that gap, or he might just find himself outside of that podium here. So this is really going to be exciting to see. It's exciting times for sure now, as Mitch Burns meanwhile finds himself essentially now into this midfield pack, as Nicky's been able to create some separation. But now trying to defend on the inside, going the long way around, is the Monkey Mafia. Does he have the acceleration? Yes, he does. Mitch Burns is really falling off the pace here. I think he's one of those drivers maybe that had a wet weather setup, and now in slick racing just is having trouble keeping up with the pace here of everybody else that's just now catching up to him and just flying by him, as he's down to P6. The Monkey Mafia finds himself in P4 and is chasing down now Nicky for that position. The gap 2.1 seconds, but he might just have that podium now if he can just keep it together and not take an extra penalty. Here is the Monkey Mafia. We'll keep an eye out on that here. Lap 33 out of 36. The Grand Prix is approaching its conclusion here. The climax and the conclusion. Dace TG2 has been having a solid drive here, and he's got a 7-second lead here. But all of the action is here in the midfield, and essentially from P2 downwards, especially with the penalties and playing a factor, as well as every driver here just so close, so bunched up together. You've got the 2 Red Bulls having a little bit of a battle here on track, Tiger NASCAR and Mitch Burns, and you can see Detail wants to get involved with this battle too, lurking in the distance. The Monkey Mafia and Hightower, meanwhile, they're renewing their battling here on track, as we've got a yellow flag here. As oh no, that was Detail having a moment there. Unfortunately for Detail, falling down the order down to P11. So that is heartbreaking for Detail here on lap 33 out of 36 with 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Detail was running so well and now finds himself down in P12. But meanwhile, you've got the Monkey Mafia, who is now being pressured quite a bit by Tiger NASCAR. They both have DRS, which essentially balances each other out. But here we go, take 2 of the DRS Cherry. Chasing down is Tiger NASCAR, and the Monkey Mafia is still keeping up alongside. We're going very deep, and that might not help too much. Oh no, and that was Mitch Burns who lost the back end on the exit of that corner, trying to keep up with everybody else, and he is going to fall way down the order. The Monkey Mafia, though, that going deep did not help too much, as now he is in P6. Tiger NASCAR down and up into P5 now, as he's chasing down Hightower. They both don't have penalties, so they're both trying to snag maybe that last podium position. for themselves, but they're really gonna have to push here. And Nicky, meanwhile, he's gonna have to push himself as much as he possibly can, because he's only got the gap is now 3.6 seconds. So he's either got to push or hope that the likes of Hightower, Tiger NASCAR take a 3-second penalty or 2 here just to be safe. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen here, at least in this stage. So Nicky's going to have to just get his head down and try to pump out a couple qualifying laps here, as we are now on lap 35 out of 36 into the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix here, as you've got on your screen Tiger NASCAR on the onboard chasing down Hightower to try to get that possible podium for the Red Bull, grab that second podium here. But it looks like the window of opportunity is starting to fall a little bit. ERS is very low here for both drivers, actually. Nicky 64 also not running too much ERS. A yellow flag though is, oh no, that was Tiger NASCAR who went for a bit of a spin there. Right as I switch off to him, he finds himself in the grass. A similar fate as Detail, falling down the order, and that means Hightower, for his sake, he can breathe a little bit of an extra sigh of relief, as now he is sitting here looking fantastic here with no penalties on the board, starting his final lap of the Grand Prix. And as long as he doesn't lose 2 seconds, or as long as Nicky doesn't make 2 seconds out of thin air here on the final lap, this is going to be a little bit of a switch up here. Adaltonian, meanwhile, he wants the overtake on track on the Monkey Mafia. There you go, going into turn 3. He's got the move done. The Monkey Mafia, though, was coming right back at him. But unfortunately, the door was completely shut there with that overtake. And it looks like Adaltonian is going to hang on to that P5 on that last lap overtake. But as he's heading towards the final few corners, let's switch over to the leader here, coming around the final corner, and your winner of the Austrian Grand Prix, Dace TG2, who crosses the line in P1. Mason having a fantastic drive in P2, with Nicky 64 crossing the line here in P3 on track, but I think unless Hightower blows it here, it is going to be Hightower who is going to get that final podium position. So Nicky 64 knocked down to P4, Adaltonian in 5th, so that is the last falling position for Nicky 64. The Monkey Mafia, Niru Nix, Houdini, so many drivers that were up there. Houdini, Detail, Tiger NASCAR, they were up there competing for the podium, for the victory here, but just costly mistakes essentially brought on their downfall here, and they find themselves in P8, P9, P10. You can even throw Nero Nix in there for some costly mistakes. He's just unfortunately for Nero Nix, I don't think the mistakes were as much his fault here. I think it was just bad place, bad time. I know lap 1 was a little chaotic for Nero Nix there, but nonetheless, that is the end of the Austrian Grand Prix. Nicky 64 getting driver of the day as voted by the people here. Definitely well deserved with that solid drive he had done there, and that's the type of drives you love to see. But there you have it. That is the trophy lifted up, and that is the end of the Grand Prix. The podium celebrations, the drivers enjoying the champagne, definitely well deserved, definitely well earned, as it always is here. But what a race, what a drive that was, especially once we got into slick tires. That is when things really got good. But there you have it. There's the order one more time. Dace TG2 becomes a race winner here, and it is his first race win in the Division 2 championship here for season 4, and adds to the collection of winners we've seen so far. Melson came close. It was close for him, but not close enough. He comes in second. Hightower from 10th up to 3rd. Nicky 64 16th up to 4th. Fantastic drive with Adaltonian rounding out the top 5. The Monkey Mafia, Nero Nix, Houdini, Detail, Tiger NASCAR rounding out the top 10. There is the rest of the order there. Mitch Burns, Unholy Red Eye, Fuzail, Chief Braids, Forza Juve, Saffron City, Static Hazard, Hate Tide Gaming, Twitch TV, and VTech round out the field here. They round out the back of the order. But there you have it. That has been the end of the Grand Prix. And like I said, a fantastic Grand Prix here. All in all considered, it was a little bit, maybe a little slow at the beginning stages. We had a great battle in the midfield, but of course once the slick tires came on, that was where things really got great. But that is, I'll be honest with everybody here today. I know I'm just jumping back into it here, but I think after the race today, I might just have to skip out on the post-race interviews. I gotta go get some rest. I think in the last 2 days, I've slept about 4 hours, or yeah, about 4 to 6 hours at the most. So I do apologize for that, but Monkey's got to get his beauty sleep here, is the way I'm gonna put it. But I do want to thank everybody for watching here, the Division 2 Championship. I will be back here, of course, in 2 weeks time, not 1 week time, because Division 2, they will get their break week next week. They get a well-deserved week off here to regroup, recompose, get some extra practice in. But in 2 weeks time, we will be in Japan, Suzuka, and that is going to be a fantastic race. For me myself, though, you will see me in the Division 3 comms booth next week as I get to take them around their track here once they race next week. So that is going to be a good one. But for the Division 2 Championship, we will see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And on behalf of myself and everybody here at Midwest Formula 1, once again, thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a fantastic evening.